Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my final video of wrapping up 2021 and this is my 2021 stats and reading in review. So just chatting through all of the detailed nitty-gritty bits of what I read last year, and I guess reflecting on that and seeing if there's any things that I would like to improve. I have already done a goals video for 2022, but I guess in conjunction with that. So I have a spreadsheet. It's not anyone else's spreadsheet and it's not very fancy at all. So I feel like if you do want reading statistics spreadsheets, then there are multiple ones that I could link, which I don't use for tracking reading statistics. I'm going to go through what I have here that I have tracked. If you're interested in anything else, then please let me know and I could always include it in future videos, or I might have that stat and I might just have not included it. In the year of 2021, I read between 97 and 99 books. So when I check on Goodreads, it says 99. When I go through to the in review, it says 97. And in my spreadsheet, I have 98. So I'm a bit confused about how many I have. And I've gone through and I've been trying to figure out where the discrepancy is and I cannot find a discrepancy. And I'm like, I don't understand. I just don't understand. So I think we're going to go with 98 because that's what I've got written down in my spreadsheet. I feel like Goodreads has got a little bit confused with some of the rereads that I've done. I don't know, but anyway, it's slightly below 100, okay? That I can say with some certainty that I didn't quite get to 100 this year. But my page number was really high still, that although I didn't get to 100, I did read a lot of pages. I think I could have easily read 100 books if I was reading shorter books. So in total, I read 45,197 pages with an average of 461 pages per book. So my average page count was very large, 461 pages. Like the majority of the books I'm reading are tomes. Like if you think about that, if you're thinking, yeah, that 500 pages is a tome. So I predominantly gravitate towards very long books. And I think if my average was like 360 pages, then, which it has been in previous years, then I would have easily read 120 books or something silly. So it's not that that's silly, it's just that sounds like a lot of books to me. But I think I'm more concerned on my page number than my book number. And I'm very, very happy with 45,000. Like that is a lot of pages. That's a lot of pages. First statistic, my ratings. The majority of the books that I read in the last year were books that I loved, which is really, really positive. Very happy about that. That of the 98 books, 68 of them were 4 stars or above. Very positive, very happy with that number. The vast majority, 2/3 of what I was reading was a book that I was thoroughly enjoying. Yeah, so 14 of the books that I read were 5 stars, so like 14%. And then there was another like 14 that were like 4.5, so another 14%. So overall, very, very positive. I didn't have any 1 star. I rarely rate anything 1 star. I have to absolutely hate it. I mean, I guess the one DNF would have been a 1 star, but I DNF'd it. I did have a couple of 2 stars. And the thing is with the 2 stars, I feel like it does have redeeming qualities. Like I might not have liked it, but I could see why other people would. Whereas a 1 star, I don't understand why anyone would read it, which is the DNF. Might mark that as 1 star on Goodreads, because I did skim it to the end. I did like flip through. Lots of positive things during my ratings. I think that just shows that I know what I like. I know what I like to read. I know my tastes. After many years of reading, I roughly know what I'm going to like and what I'm not going to like. What I'm not going to like. And I just avoid things that I don't like. So I think I do pretty much know what I enjoy. I do feel like quite a few of the 5 stars were some rereads. So I didn't have loads of new 5-star favourites. Of the genres, the majority of what I read was fantasy, which is not a surprise at all. Yeah, 74 of the 98 books were fantasy. Like 3/4 of what I was reading last year was fantasy. I did have a goal to read more sci-fi, and I think in 2020 I read 8 sci-fi books, and in 2021 I read 10, so I guess I read 2 more, but that's hardly significant. I do really want to continue trying to read more sci-fi. I put myself as like a fantasy and sci-fi reader, and I'm pretty much just a fantasy reader because I haven't read that much sci-fi. Like if only 10% of what I read last year was sci-fi, So that is definitely something that I do want to improve upon and read more sci-fi and try and like figure out exactly what I like within the genre. Maybe if it could be, well, I don't know if 20% is unrealistic, maybe 15% of my reading could be sci-fi. So 15 sci-fi books. Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, my Goodreads goal is in at 75, but if I read 100 books again, maybe, then if 15 of them, so 5 more on last year, was sci-fi, I'd be happy with that. I also had a reduction in romance from the year before. I only read 7 romance books compared to the year before where I read 14. So my romance numbers halved, which is a bit disappointing. I don't know, I enjoy romance. So it's a bit sad that it's lower, but I did sort of have a binge of romance in October that I hadn't really read any, and then I just read quite a few back to back. So I feel like I'd like to space it out a little bit more and have just romance sporadically throughout the year within my reading instead of just in a big clump. Otherwise, the numbers are pretty marginal. So like 1 classic, 1 contemporary, 2 historical fictions, 2 non-fiction, 1 thriller. The thrillers has gone down. I had 7 thrillers in 2020 to only have 1. And I think that's because when I read them in 2020, I didn't enjoy the majority of them. So I was like, what's the point in me reading thrillers if I'm not enjoying them? I might as well just scrap them out of my reading for now and just not read them. So I only read the 1. And yeah, overall I'm happy with that. I had the aim to read 1 non-fiction and 1 classic, which I did. So I'm going to keep doing that again. Hopefully, if I just put 1, then hopefully I'll easily achieve that. And then I'd just be happy if I read more than that. I see people that put like 1 non-fiction a month and I'm like, that's way too much for me. But at least if I keep doing at least 1 a year, then that's something. Okay, series or standalones. So series has been a really big focus for me in this past year and trying to get my ongoing series number down. As of finishing 2021, I have 23 ongoing series, which is down from like 30 something that it was as of last year. So I'm very, very happy with that. And out of those, the vast majority of them I cannot continue in actively. 13 of those, 23, I'm up to date in. And I cannot keep going because I'm waiting for the next book's release. So I'm just waiting. And I think for I think for at least 4 of those, they will be finished this year, so I can mark them off. And the other ones, some of them have installments coming out this year, and some of them just there's no information on them. And then I have 4 series where I can actively continue. No problem, like The Fault Is Completely Mine, so that's the Storm My Archive, Serpent and Dove, The Where's Dreams Descend, and Mask of Mirrors. I can easily just continue with those and either get them up to date or finished. And then I have 6 series where I do really want to continue with them, but I need to reread from the beginning, so they're pretty much being started from scratch from the beginning again. It is my fault, but I do need to start again from the beginning, so it's going to be pretty much like starting a new series. I'm very, very happy with that series number. So speaking on that further, in the year of 2021, I finished 15 series. I have a whole video on this, which I can link, where I talk through those 15 series in detail. I started 19 series, but I think out of those, quite a few of them I DNF straight after starting them, that I decided that I wasn't interested in them. So there was a few there that I just decided weren't for me. I just read the first book, and then I continued in 18 series, so that could be that in the year I read the second book and the third and the finale, or I just continued it and I'm waiting for the next book. So that's just like, if it's not the end goal, if it's not the end of the series, it's just somewhere within the middle of it. I reread 11 books as part of series, and I read 35 standalones. So like I guess a third of my reading is standalone and 2/3 is series, which I think is realistic to me as a predominantly fantasy series reader. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. I'm pretty happy with that amount. I don't think I'd really want to change that. I'm very happy with being a third standalone, 2/3 series. In this year of 2022, I don't really want the numbers to change that much, really. I'm pretty happy with that amount. And if I can just keep finishing series to the same extent as that. Okay, in terms of demographic, 63 of the books that I read were adult, 3 were middle grade, 13 were new adult, and 19 were YA. I thought that the majority of my reading was adult. I thought I was like 70-80% adult, but it does seem to be a bit lower than that this past year at 63. Yeah, in 2020, 74 books were adult. So I have gone back to a few more being YA, and I think I would have preferred this to be a little bit more adult. I was trying to finish off quite a few YA series that I have had ongoing for a very long time, so in trying to finish those off, I was reading more YA books because I was like, I've got to finish off these series. But now those series are finished, I'm hoping that going forward I will be a bit more like 80% adult to 20% YA. I think that's just what I prefer now. That a few years ago I was like 50-50, whereas now I think I do prefer to read adult fiction, and that's where I get the most enjoyment. So I would like that number to be slightly more adult. Not that there's anything wrong with reading YA or middle grade or new adult, it's just I generally prefer adult for my own tastes. In terms of the formatting, I read 18 audiobooks, 17 ebooks and 63 physical books. So like 2/3 physical, which I think I'm a little bit surprised. I thought it might have been a little bit more physical, especially in the second half of the year where I literally read no ebooks. I just went through an ebook, I don't know, like void. I just wasn't really enjoying reading ebooks at all or reading my Kindle, so I was reading pretty much all physically with a few audiobooks. So I'm actually surprised that my audio and ebook was so high, especially as I go through phases with audiobooks. Like sometimes I'll read those like in a month and then I won't read for them for months, and so I guess I'm happy with that. I have no aims for what format I read my books in. I don't really mind. In terms of the authors, 67 of the authors were authors I read from before, and then 31 were new to me. If I had read like a whole series by an author, so I read the whole of the Crown of Feathers series by Nikki Palpretto, she could only be new to me for that first book, and then the second and third book she was no longer a new to me author. So I guess authors can very quickly become not new to me. They only have one chance to be a new to me author. I mean, I think I'm pretty happy with that a third of what I'm reading is new authors, and then 2/3 authors that I previously read from, because I feel like this is a hard thing to balance. Like I do want to be reading from a variety of authors and a variety of different backgrounds and experiencing new voices, but then I also, if I do find an author that I love, I want to be reading their whole backlist and reading all the books that they've published and really getting to know that author and reading everything that they've written. So I feel like it's a hard thing to balance because I have those two opposing sides in my head. The one that's like, oh, I want to read from a variety of voices, and the other one that's like, I really want to explore this author's backlist. I want to explore all of their works and explore how they write, especially if I really love what they're doing. And if I'm enjoying a series that, okay, they could be new to me once, but then if it's a 5-book series, so that's 4 books, then that are going to be, they're not going to be a new to me author anymore. So I guess I'm pretty happy with that. I guess. So in terms of the gender, I was pretty much 2/3 female and then 1/3 male, which I'm happy with. And then there's a couple of non-binary or co-authored books. So I'm pretty happy with that. I know in 2020, I was more like 3/4 female to 1/4 male. And I definitely put like an aim to read some more male authors in the second half of 2020. And I can see that I have kept up with that in 2021. I am now at a place where 2/3 of my reading is female and 1/3 male, and I'm very happy with that. I think that's probably roughly where I want it to be. I would say that I like reading from female authors, particularly in fantasy, which is such a predominantly male, predominantly written by men. There are so many male authors out there, and I really do enjoy supporting female authors and female voices within the fantasy sphere. So I'm I'm happy with that. I do also feel that I do enjoy romance and fantasy romance, and those are predominantly written by female authors, and so I do let that sway a little bit. But I'm also happy that I am including more men in my reading now, and I don't feel like it's been like a chore. It's been something quite easy for me to incorporate. Ethnicity, I didn't do very well. The majority of what I was reading was white, that I didn't really do very well at incorporating other ethnicities into my reading. So I guess 3/4 was white and 1/4 was of other ethnicities, and I would like that number to improve. I wanted it to improve last year and it didn't, obviously. I think I was about 3/4 white in 2020 as well, so I would like to continue working on that, continue improving that, and continue trying to read from diverse voices and trying to read from some more diverse authors. And hopefully I could do a bit better with that in 2022. I don't want it to seem forced. I want it to be a natural gravitation towards those books. But I also do know that I think I've tried the past few years to make it just a natural shift. And I don't know if that's necessarily working. So I feel like I might need to be a little bit more conscientious in making sure that the authors that I'm picking up are from diverse backgrounds. And then I have how I acquired the book. So if it was full price, if it was gift, the library, reread, script. I don't think there's that much to pick out of this. I'm very, very thankful of the number of books that were gifted to me. So a third roughly of what I was reading was gifted to me. So I'm so thankful about that a lot of the books that I'm picking up I haven't had to pay for. So that is like, thank you. But otherwise, I don't think there's too much to pick out with that. And then publication year. So this one I think is relatively interesting. I read 6 books that were published pre-2000. So not a lot, but a few. So yeah, 6 books pre-2000. And then between 2000 to 2009, I read 13 books. And then between 2010 to 2019, I read 39 books. Of those, 11 were published in 2019. So 2010 to 2018 would have been 28. And then I read 15 books published in 2020 and 25 published in 2021. So I was reading a lot of new releases, 25 new releases, which I think is a lot. So within the past 3 years, 51 books were published within the last 3 years. And actually, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy that 50% of what I was reading was a new release from 2019 onwards. And then 50% of what I was reading was pre that, and then it was from more of a backlist. So I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty even spread between new books and older works and reading things that, I think that's okay. Again, with this one, I don't feel like I've got anything that I really want to add to that or anything that I really want to particularly work on. I am pretty content with where that is. And then the final statistic that I have is in terms of the publishers. So, I mean, there's a lot of publishers on here. In total, I read from 37 different publishers in the year of 2021. A lot of them is just one book here, one book there. The big publishers that I have read from are Orbit, where I read 11 books from Orbit, and I know that they're one of my favourite publishers. I also read 9 books from Galantz. So again, I know that they're a big fantasy publisher, so I'm going to be reading a lot of books from them. 7 books from Harper Voyager, and I noticed that it is down on previous years, that I have previously read more from Harper Voyager, so I'm not too sure what happened with Harper Voyager last year. And I think some of the ones that I read, like I reread the whole of the David trilogy, so they were all rereads. There weren't new publications from Harper Voyager. But I know in previous years they have been a favourite. Mirror, I read 9, and I think that's because I read the whole of Chronicles of Ixia, and they're all published by Mirror. That it's not like, I don't think the numbers are going to be like that this year. That was just a one-off because I was reading that whole series through. And then 8 of the books that I read were self-published, so nearly 10%. I think that was similar to last year, that I did read quite a good number of self-published books, and I'm happy with that, and I would like to continue reading from self-published and have that number continue to grow. I'd like it to be over 10% probably from self-published authors, so I'm happy with that. And otherwise, I don't think I have too much to bring out. I'm a bit surprised I only had 2 from Tor. I feel like I normally would have read more books from Tor, but not that much to say with that. And then otherwise, it's just a few dribs and drabs here and there. So those are all the stats that I have on my reading statistics from last year. If there's anything else that you might want to know, then you can ask in the comments and I'll see if I have that statistic. I personally find statistics really, really interesting and quite fun to look at and to see how things did. And some of these stats I didn't even realise before compiling it. I hadn't really been actively checking all my statistics, so it was quite fun to look back on the year and see how I did with these. So yes, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!